Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. This is a podcast to inspire, uplift, show forth the love of God, and help usher in the spiritual awakening. Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. I'm your host, Jay Spillers, author and teacher. Please do like and subscribe to the channel and share everywhere. So today we're going to talk about managing stress through meditation. It's about stress management. I'm going to be doing my class on this today. I actually have note cards for it. I don't know if you can see them. So let's start with what is the different kinds of stress. There's basically two kinds of stress. The first kind of stress is acute stress. And acute stress is a short-term stress. It's generally brought on by a threat or challenge. And a lot of times it's you get a rush of adrenaline or cortisol. It tends to be very short-lived, tends to be very manageable, doesn't cause any long-term harm, can actually boost your energy. So a little bit of short-term stress isn't necessarily a bad thing, though we can even deal with some of that with meditation as well as long-term stress. But the long-term stress, the more challenging one, is what we would call chronic stress. This is the ongoing or continual stress that we sometimes get. This one can cause harm to the body. This one can cause long-term cortisol to uh, damage your body. And what can happen with long-term stress is you can start to get heart problems. You can start to elevate your risk for heart attack, stroke. You can either run the risk of getting diabetes or exacerbating it if you already have it. So long-term stress is a much more difficult issue. It's something that you generally have to take some kind of action on to resolve beyond just it'll go away on its own. So there's lots of different things you can do for stress. One of the key things is breathing. One of the key ways of breathing to start with is taking deep breaths. And what you do is you breathe in through your nose, hold for about 8 seconds, and then exhale for about the same length of time, roughly about 8 seconds. And then before you take your next breath, you wait about a couple seconds, 1, 2, take your next breath. And these deep breaths can help to relieve stress. And then there's also what we call diaphragmatic breathing. And diaphragmatic breathing is belly breathing in the abdomen. So this one you breathe in and out through your nose. You just inhale through your nose a little bit deeper. It doesn't have to be as deep as the deep breath breathing. And then you exhale through your nose. And as you inhale through your nose, your stomach expands. As you exhale, it contracts. So it's expand and contract. Sorry, I should be doing it with your nose. Okay, so what you can do to help your diaphragmatic breathing especially when you're first starting, put one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach so that you can feel your stomach expanding and contracting. And we'll go ahead and do a few minutes of this. So put one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach, and let's do some diaphragmatic breathing, okay? So breathe in a little deeper. Just breathe in a little bit deeper. Exhale fairly deep, all in and out through your nose. This one isn't as deep as the deep breath, but we want to get A little bit deeper breath. So let's go ahead and inhale. Might want to close your eyes. Might start to notice that having your hand on your chest near your heart is sort of calming in itself. You're in touch with your heart as you're doing the breathing. And then you feel your stomach expanding and contracting. Let's do a few more. Close your eyes. Breathe in a little deeper. Let's do a few more deep breaths, a few more diaphragmatic breaths. Just notice your stomach expanding and contracting. Filling your entire stomach abdomen area. Now, with diaphragmatic breathing, you can obviously just do the breathing by itself. Notice how you feel. Probably feel a little calmer. You might even feel slightly light in your head, not probably real dizzy or anything, but a little bit lighter in your head, a little bit calmer, a little bit lighter and easy. Diaphragmatic breathing can be done in conjunction with your meditative practice or just sometimes by yourself. If you got a few minutes and you want to do some diaphragmatic breathing, just go ahead and do it. It oxygenates your body. It releases a relaxation in your body, relaxation hormone. It stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps to focus you because, like, if you're stressful, if you just do this breathing and you have your hands here, kind of just focuses you, takes you into the breath. And it's a very relaxing form of breathing. The other kind of breathing we just talked about a minute ago was the deep breaths, which a lot of times these breaths will also energize you going forward. And we could try a few of those. These ones I breathe in through your nose, hold for 8 seconds, try to exhale for roughly about 8 seconds. Then wait a couple seconds between the next breath. So let's try this. Breathe in deeply through your nose, hold, and exhale. Breathe in deeply and exhale. Now, people that are watching this on the audio podcast, I was counting with my hands to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2. But we'll go ahead and do this again. Let's do a few more deep breaths. Breathe in deeply through your nose, and exhale. Breathe in and exhale. Okay, you breathe in a little bit deeper through the deep breathing than you would the abdominal or diaphragmic breathing. But the diaphragmic, you go a little bit deeper than you normally would. But these are two excellent breathing techniques that you can use when you feel yourself becoming stressed, either just acute day-to-day stress or if you're having more long-term stress episodes. So we also have what we call mindfulness. And mindfulness is basically being in the present moment, taking your focus in the now, not worried about the past, not worried about the future, but going into the state of now. Obviously, you can do breathing techniques, but anything that can take your focus to the present moment is generally a good thing. We just did something a minute ago, two breathing techniques, diaphragmic and deep breaths, which can help. One thing you can do for mindfulness is use your five senses. And we'll do that in just a minute, where we take in our five senses, our seeing, our hearing, taste, touch, and smell, and use that to refocus our mind when we're being stressed out. And we're going to notice these things by another breathing technique, incorporating another breathing technique. This is what I call micro breathing. You just breathe in through your nose, but instead of trying to breathe deeper, you try to go more shallow. It's like barely breathing. You slow the breathing down, slow, shallow breaths. So let's go ahead and try to do some shallow breathing. Just notice your chest and your breath as you're going in and out. Just have it go very slow, very shallow. We're not trying to take deep. This is the opposite of that. So you can get benefit both from a very deep breath, but a very slow, shallow breath in the micro breathing. It's kind of like the yin and the yang, you know. We get benefit from vigorous movement and exercise, but we get benefit from stillness. So it's kind of like that. So just continue to take some shallow breaths with me. Just keep your eyes open for this one. Now, as you continue to breathe, notice what you can see in the room. Don't necessarily turn your head, but just what you can see in the position you're sitting in. Continue to do the slow, shallow breathing, micro breathing. Is there any smells in the room? Just kind of notice if there's any smells. Don't go out of your way to take like a big smelling, big breath smelling, but just try to notice if there's any scent in the air. I'm kind of wondering if my shirt has a faint scent because I just washed it. Like if I'm getting a little bit of the detergent smell, but I'm not sure. Otherwise, it's pretty much nothing in terms of smell, which is fine. Let's continue to do the micro breathing. Can you taste anything in your mouth? As you're breathing through your nose, see if you taste anything in your mouth. Right? Notice if your mouth is dry or wet. Probably not really tasting anything. Could run the tongue over the top of your mouth. See what that feels like. Not really much to taste. There is kind of an interesting taste on the top of your mouth that I've noticed. Hmm. Okay. Continue to breathe. Just notice what you can feel with your hands, like right in front of you. Continue to breathe. I was noticing the smooth desk that my computer's sitting on. It's just kind of a smooth feel. Notice if there's any sounds in the background. I can notice a sound. I can hear the TV faintly in the background because my son's watching TV in the other room. Got the door closed, but I can faintly hear the TV. See, that's one way is refocusing on using your five senses. And like if you're doing mindfulness, you could go on a walk. You could do mindfulness while you're drinking your coffee in the morning, just noticing the sensation of the coffee, the taste, the heat from it, what it feels like in your mouth, the swizzle, the feeling on your lips as a cup touches you, all the different things that could go with drinking a cup of coffee. Or like if you're eating something, you're eating a muffin. What is the taste sensation? What is the texture? What is the smell? What is the appearance? As you're eating, can you hear yourself chewing? These are different ways to get mindful using your five senses to refocus your attention away from stress. And you can do this with micro breathing or just do micro breathing by itself and get a level of calmness with it.
You're listening to the Inspire Me with Jay podcast. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, bringing hope and inspiration to the world.
Now, the thing about mindfulness is that mindfulness is you're trying to remove judgments and accept where you are in this moment, which can kind of help when you're highly stressed out. Just, I'm accepting where I am right now, and it's okay. It's going to be okay, and it is okay. So, this leads to another thing is that we all have these negative thoughts going on. We all have these negative things we say about ourselves. I'm a mess. I can't do this. This is too much for me. All these different things we say to ourselves and affirm. They're basically like stories we tell ourselves when we're stressed that I'm never going to get better. It's always going to be like this. It's always going to be hard and difficult and all these things. But what if we can stop the story and then change the story? Like catch yourself saying a negative thought and turn it into something positive. Like, I am competent to meet the challenges that I face. I am competent to meet the challenges that I face. And one thing that I started using recently as an affirmation is I'm in flow. I'm in a flow state and I feel great. I'm in flow state and I feel great. And what's the thing about a flow is if you ever heard Tony Robbins talk, he talks about when you get in the flow of things, things start clicking, you start working. You could be doing a project, working on something, you could be reading, you could be writing something, and you just sort of get in a flow and it just sort of easily flows. Everything's clicking, everything's going good. But to affirm that you're in this flow state and that you feel great can be a wonderful affirmation that you can do during meditation. Another time to do it that's good when you're first waking up, like even before you fully open your eyes, just kind of lay there and say, I'm in a flow state and I feel great. And what's the benefit of saying it first thing in the morning is because your brain's operating a lot on the alpha waves rather than beta, which is day-to-day living. So you're able to program your mind better. You're able to sort of go beyond some of the defenses we have and just sort of program it down within you. And this is the same thing for meditation. A lot of times you spend most of our meditation in the alpha wave length, or sometimes theta, which is even better for programming, which is a form of deeper relaxation. But if you can say it when you first get up, wake up, and you're still laying in bed, eyes closed, and you can say it as maybe part of your meditation time. And even when you go to bed at night and you start to fall asleep, say, I'm in a flow state and I feel great. And just let that sink into you. Because I've been doing it the past few days, feeling pretty good, actually getting in a flow state, not stressing out about things as much. But that's something to do. Now, just take a minute and let's close your eyes. Try to think of a stressful situation, whether it's at work or something around the house isn't working. Think about like what you might say that's negative. Might be saying something like, oh, this is just my luck. If I didn't have any luck, if I didn't have rotten luck, I wouldn't have any luck. Or I just can't deal with this right now. I'm too stressed. I'm just so bad at this. Whatever it is, whatever that situation is that causes that, flip it. Try to frame it in the positive. Might be something like, I can meet all challenges. I can meet all my challenges. I've got this covered. I am a competent, successful person. I'll be okay. I'm in a flow state and I feel great. Okay, so those are some things you can do in terms of affirmations. Now, in terms of managing external stresses, what are some things we can do? Well, one thing is you can schedule things, and this is something I always have problems doing, is just like writing a list out of what you need to do. Because sometimes when you write it out and you can see it, it's like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with. It's not like you're a chicken with your running around with your head cut off. You've got a list, and then as you do something, you can cross it out. And it sort of takes your stress down quite a bit. Even if you don't finish the whole list, just the fact that you wrote the list out and you're working through it and you're Xing out as you're doing it, just has a way of kind of taking the stress level down. And maybe something else you need to do is prioritize, like, what's the most important and urgent thing? What's urgent but not important? And what's important but not urgent? And just kind of work through those things. And then what's not important or urgent, if you got some time left over, to do that. So that's something you can do to focus yourself. And as you meditate, you can gain greater emotional regulation to help with stress. And then the last thing is the visualization. One thing you can do to help manage your stress is when you start to get stressed, is close your eyes and just imagine yourself in a state that's peaceful and calm, a happy state. And what is this happy state for you? It could be a garden. It could be something like the beach. It could be a forest. It could be just sitting by a running stream. What could it be for you to visualize? You do this as part of a formal meditation, but you could just do it in a few minutes, closing your eyes, going to that happy state. And that's the importance of visualization. And another thing that you can do, and this can be mindful, is journaling. It's sort of like write down what you're feeling, write down how your day's going, write down what you got to do, and just sort of journal it out. Because sometimes, kind of like when you speak to another person, you can sort of unload. Journaling kind of has that same feature where you can just kind of unload your burdens and feel a little bit lighter. And a lot of people have really benefited in their stress management through things like journaling. So that's all I was going to talk about today. And you might be asking, okay, well, if we're in a spiritual awakening, what has this got to do with the spiritual awakening? Well, the spiritual awakening starts by you reducing your stress. Because if you're stressed out, it's difficult to be awakening. It's difficult to be moving in a more positive framework. It's difficult for you to help the world if you can't help yourself. So it's definitely important in terms of awakening yourself and helping the world around you. Have you ever wanted to learn to meditate? Check out my book, Meditation for Everyone: How to Quickly Have a More Peaceful, Mindful, and Fulfilled Life, and support this channel. With Meditation for Everyone, you will learn to quickly and easily meditate, relieve stress and anxiety, alleviate depression, and have more joy, peace, and relaxation. What you will learn: mindfulness, the art of stillness, step by step on how to meditate, strategies for overcoming challenges to meditation, and much more. D. Mason said this is a nice meditation book, even for those already meditating. I agree with the statements that it will help to have a more peaceful, mindful, and fulfilled life. 4.6 star rating, available on Amazon.